Rise and shine. Pour yourself a cup of coffee and tune in to Good Morning Aurora. News, weather, and really cool interviews. Monday through Friday from 8 to 9 a.m.
I closed my email with my list of all the things we were going to talk about today.
Oh.
So, technical difficulties with
you can
my
just
email.
open the email
I'm working.
Oh,
it's loading. Are you seeing it load? It's loading.
Oh God.
So
it's buffering.
It's buffering. We're buffering, guys. My email is buffering.
Good morning, Aurora. Good morning, Aurora. Good morning. Yeah.
Good morning, Aurora.
The claps are not for the email.
Not for the internet. The internet today is not our friend. Oh man.
The internet is hating.
Between the key incident last week and the
on Friday the 13th,
on
no
Friday
less.
the 13th.
Did we ever tell
less.
these people about that?
Did we tell them about that?
Well, let's intro. Good morning, Aurora. Good morning, Aurora. Good morning, Aurora.
Good morning, Aurora.
You are listening to Jenettesplaining on the second largest city's first daily news podcast. But yeah, let's tell that story.
Okay, so here's
Friday the
the
13th.
time. It was Friday the 13th.
It was not a dark and stormy night.
It was
Whitney
bright
Love, what's up?
and sunny, and it was a beautiful Friday morning.
There was a butterfly literally floating on the breeze. It was nice.
It was charming.
It was.
And then we tried to get into the studio.
I left our key in the studio. We went and got coffee, came back, and we were then locked out. And right at the moment that I decided to, and it was looking like chaos because it was like
5-10 minutes before.
It was like
showtime.
8:40. It was like 7:47.
It was not that much time.
Yeah, it was because I remember I was thinking like by 8:50 was the crisis moment.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was like
All right,
8:47-ish.
It was not ideal though.
No, it was not.
No.
It was not. We were.
Then you didn't have your phone.
I didn't have my phone,
and
so
I don't have any contacts anymore for anyone who has a key to this place. So, I mean, I guess I do, but no one who was like on call and like ready to spring into action to let us in.
It was looking like drastic measures were the only way to make sure that the news was going to come to the people.
And so your host takes his lock picking.
No. Hold that down.
Pull the key out.
I just started praying and shit like,
pull
please.
the Slim Jim out.
No, hold it down. Whitney Love, happy Friday. Victoria Hallamaldonado here. Good morning. But the moral of the story, so Nick, our brother.
We did not break in.
Our brother.
Yes.
Showed up out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere.
Absolutely nowhere. Because he's never around at 7:50 in the morning. Never. But on this particular day.
Because you don't have to start,
this particular day.
Until later.
He was
just there.
Yeah.
He was like,
yeah, I'm going to come back and I left my hat here.
Yeah.
And I was like, thank God.
It was out of nowhere. He had just come back from the gym.
It was something he never does.
Oh, yeah.
On a Friday the 13th.
Yeah. So that all worked out.
We did that shit. All right. Good morning, everybody. So we got a lot to talk about. Casildo Casey Cuevas, good morning to you, sir. Happy Friday to you as well. Friday vibes are on. Yeah, you know that. We got coffee.
Correct.
We have a raspberry crumb bar with
my
almonds
God.
from Treadwell. That's really good.
Oh, my God. The raspberry crumb thing.
Yep.
Holy moly.
Census, redlining, gentrification, all of the nice, lighthearted topics that you want to hear about on a Friday.
Who doesn't love a good disempowering entire races of people to never gain wealth and live a life that they deserve? Story early on their Friday morning.
Early. At 8:05 a.m.
At 8:05 a.m.
All right, so Aurora we keep our standing as the second largest city in Illinois, but we lost.
It's not.
Residents?
Yeah. All right. So first of all, Aurora is the second. In case you didn't know, which you did from listening to this podcast, which is the second largest city.
Lisa Gofron's here. What is up?
Daily podcast. Aurora is the second largest city in Illinois. It's a distant second, to say the least. It's a distant second. As far as Chicagoans are concerned, it's just once you go past Oak Park, it's just cornfields. So,
Seriously, right?
When I head into the north side for
this
like
is the boondocks when it comes to
so when I head into the north side for classes and things like that I take up there, they look at me like I have packed up a camel and taken a journey across a desert to get to them. I'm
frog
like,
in the corner, and he go.
I'm like, guys, it was an hour and a half. I'm not saying it wasn't a crappy commute,
right.
but like it's not
Right.
the Sahara. But so we maintained our standing as the second largest city in Illinois, but we did lose population according to the census figures, which were released last week on a more like granular level, right? We had like state and county numbers, but now we're starting to get more into like census tract numbers.
Chicano Times, what's up?
Yes.
See, that's it. Hold on.
What?
See, now you know
Who
what?
are we?
That's the thing with the. See, this is a little bit of urban, a little bit of like suburb here. So I'm just gonna randomly shout.
Indeed, I am
I
am very suburban.
Yeah.
Have you noticed?
Yeah. You know?
In case that were not completely obvious.
Yeah.
So, apparently our city is now more suburban than it was 10 years ago. So our population dropped from the official count from 197,899 people in 2010. We just couldn't find that last guy to just round up the number. We just couldn't track it down. To 180,542. So a drop of about 17,000 residents. So, like, that's significant.
Very significant.
It's not quite 10%, but it's not that far off either. That's a pretty big drop. So,
yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Now, we're going to, I'll give the link to the folks too, but what is the reason for that? Or are there many reasons?
Well, that's the thing. Nobody knows.
John Schumer, good morning to you, John.
So, what's fascinating about this is it's as much a story about trends and like real life things happening out in the world as it is about data and how well we can track these things, right? So. The city seems to be saying that it may be the result of just a massive undercount. So it's possible that, I mean, there was a pandemic going on, right? That made it tricky to count people. Historically, Aurora's population has a lot of recent immigrants. This is kind of one of those first stop cities. If you have migrated here, that makes it difficult to find people and talk to them and ask them who all lives in your house. That it's. So it could be the result of undercounting. It could be though that people are actually moving out. It's possible.
Here's the thing.
Ooh.
Now I did the census stuff and did the neighborhood going.
You've done you were a census taker? You've done the census taking?
I was walking around doing
All right, okay.
Let me tell you something.
You civil service hero, you.
Thank you. Oh, shit. Yeah.
Man, that's not a job a lot of people want. That's like a hard job.
No, I'm down. I'm dedicated. I'm in there.
But it is an important job, right?
I have to tell you, though, that it is 100% true that, especially when they see a brother like me walking and everything like that, Latino people just run in the house like I'm the police or something. They just run right back in the house.
Folks aren't real stoked to see a black man walk up to their door, huh?
Not really, or the rest of the team and all that. As soon as they see a brother coming, like you can knock
with
on the
a clipboard.
Door. You can hear chihuahuas barking and Sabado Gigante playing. As soon as you knock on the door, it's just...
What are you doing showing up on Saturday night, though? That's weird.
That's Saturday morning, but you knew it, though. Yeah.
Sábado Gigante.
Sábado Gigante,
Is it in the morning?
Yeah, that's the morning joint.
I thought that was a night thing.
No, Sábado Gigante is right in the morning. Tell Turn
like
Buenos
the
Dias
big-
Aurora real quick up in here.
It was like the big variety.
Yeah,
show
yep, the variety show.
Yes, yeah.
So yeah, there is.
I don't watch a lot of Sábado Gigante.
There are a lot of Aurora residents who do not participate in the census consistently.
Sure.
Now that is that's also baked into the proverbial cake there.
Now but
Time is 8:11.
we should also say that that's not limited to even the undocumented community or
It is
anything
not.
like
It-
that
not
too.
at all. Not at all.
It's also, just anyone who doesn't want people all up in their business. So, which can be any.
Would you answer the door if I knocked on it?
Well, if it were you.
Oh, good looking out. I appreciate
Sure.
that. Yeah.
How do I know?
No, I typically answer the door. Sometimes it's real weird stuff. Sometimes in a neighborhood you just get real weird stuff. Most of the time they're just trying to sell you solar
Are you
panels.
willing to donate a kidney today? Like, bro.
Yeah, or just I think our neighbors had someone randomly show up on their front porch and bleeding, and it turned into a whole thing, and they were calling the cops, and it was I don't know.
That's crazy.
There's just sometimes it's just a vibrant, lively neighborhood, and sometimes really weird stuff happens.
All right, so here comes the link to the article that we were reading from here. That's in the chat for you guys to check out at your leisure. Again,
Yes.
we lost a bunch of residents, but we still keep our standing as the second largest city
Now,
in Illinois. And I did not want to
so-
change the name to the third largest cities. No,
Yeah,
we
we'd
weren't
have
doing
to
that.
know.
Nah, that's not happening.
Suck it, Joliet.
Right, exactly.
No one wants to move into your town either.
Yeah.
So
Joliet.
Joliet.
Right.
No, it is also possible, and we can wildly speculate, and we certainly encourage you to wildly speculate in the comments why it is that 10% of town would have hightailed it out of here.
Yeah,
But,
definitely share with us, you guys. And actually, speaking of which, Casey shared with us actually.
Mm-hmm.
So Casey says that drop in population in Aurora means a loss of millions of dollars to the city. Michael Rayford, good morning to you, sir. Good morning. Thanks for tuning in, my brother.
It absolutely does, right? Because so many federal programs like your block grants and things like that
Right.
help us fill in the gaps in much needed social services or in needed community development services, right? So housing and things like that.
Yep.
Those are based on census numbers. So if when you lose a share of population, it means that you lose percentage of those dollars. So that is the serious and sad note of the census, whether it's an undercount, which would be even worse, right? Because an undercount would mean that we still have all those
Money
people
on the table.
Well, and it means that we still have all those people living in the community who still need services,
Right.
and now fewer dollars to get those
Right.
services into the hands of those people.
All right, it's 8:14.
Moving on.
What does gentrification look like?
Oh, okay. Well, so one of the things that so this is tied to the census story.
Oh,
This is tied. It's all a thing.
Alyssa Ocone, good morning.
So we're getting this census story. Basically, there was a huge data dump across the country last week with these census numbers, right?
And T-Mobile had a 400 million person breach.
Oh,
I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's fine. We're going to talk about that though, because
I got T-Mobile.
you got T-Mobile. See, I have Xfinity.
Yeah.
Fun fact that nobody seems to know
Anybody
is
listening
that
who has my text message, if you get something crazy from me, it's not me. They hacked it,
yeah,
brother.
if you're getting some selfies in some 3 a.m. selfies,
Right.
definitely not from your host. Definitely from
Right.
your host. They're from
Oh, man.
So a lot of people don't know this though. If you have Comcast, for your TV and internet or whatever, you can go get unlimited cell phone service from Xfinity for $40 a month.
Oh, yeah.
Fun fact, unlimited data, everything. It's great. And then if your mom doesn't ever use her phone, you can buy by the gigabit. My mom pays $15 a month for her phone service. It's great. So anyway, that's your money saving tip for the day.
Nice.
But going back to
Gentrification.
and data and the data story, gentrification and the census story. So what we are seeing now from all of the data that came out from the census figures, because we had sort of the broad level census figure numbers by state and I think county a few months ago, but now we've got by census tract, which is your neighborhood, a small portion of your neighborhood. we can really see where people are moving and how they're moving, and the New York Times had this really fascinating, because they do an amazing work with like graphical storytelling, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they have this amazing map out that basically shows that just about all of America has gotten much, much more diverse, right?
For those of you who don't know, we are fans of the Times here. Lots of the information that we put out to you,
a lot of it
Times
comes from there. I have my subscription. It's my digital subscription. They have and they just do great work with like actually making like charts and graphs and things that like make sense and are fascinating, and you can. So, but they have this great one that demonstrates just how much almost every county in America is looking more diverse racially these days. And there's a few things driving that. One is probably the biggest one is that younger generations tend to date and marry and thus procreate more across racial lines. So
scary button. Bum, bum, bum.
But like, so a lot of younger kids are generally mixed race, right? So that's like a huge driver of it.
Right.
But one of the things that became incredibly clear, though, is just how much, even though like on a county level, we might still be more diverse, on the like small scale, you still see clustering and very, very clear racial divides in certain, like in cities and the patterns of cities. So what it was demonstrating is all of the major cities where, you know, back in the 70s, we had this massive white flight of 60s and 70s of like your grandparents moved out of the hood that they grew up in Chicago, right, on the south side and fled for the suburbs. Mm-hmm. And now we're starting to see this concentration of white people in like the most expensive parts of like the clustering in the downtowns of cities, mm-hmm. and pushing out folks that in areas that were historically black. So the biggest example of this is by far is New Orleans, which was heavily influenced by the
Hurricane Katrina.
By Hurricane Katrina, right? 15 years ago, right? This is like the arc of how demographics work, right? It's not an overnight. The trends that we are seeing now are the result of things that happened 15 and 20 years ago.
Right.
But so Katrina comes in, it wipes out all of the poor black people who didn't have homes anymore because they all collapsed and flooded, and then they all had to flee. They lost everything. They all moved to other cities, Houston and things like that, right? And it left this vacant hole that then rich white folk kind of came in and were like, oh, this place isn't so bad anymore, and
right.
built all these giant.
This isn't a flooded area.
Yeah.
This is lakefront property.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Marketing.
Right. Exactly. They're not looting, they're foraging.
Yeah. So what we're seeing in this is what's fascinating, because this has been a topic that we've talked about a lot on this show before, is what does gentrification actually look like?
The time is 8:19.
And I think that one of the things that what the demographics are starting to show is that it's not one apartment building, it's not one development, right? It's when you get these like massive shifts in a whole like
right.
in an area.
Right.
So
now Casildo Casey Cuevas has a statement right here. He says, mm-hmm. Gentrification looks like downtown Aurora, where a certain populace is pushed out, mostly minorities and low-income people, unfortunately. Now, I don't know about that, and here's why. Downtown Aurora was a ghost town with not much for the longest time. And what killed it was the mall coming. This is according to Ray Hull, who was downtown when it was bustling and mm-hmm. was instrumental in building, or rather infrastructure around the mall. That's what pulled a lot of the businesses out. I don't know if gentrification is applicable to downtown Aurora, because there's nothing there. I mean, a chupacabra just came in. They're Puerto Rican.
I think that.
So I don't know. Casildo, you my man, but I don't know if that description fits for downtown Aurora.
I don't think that any Naperville resident will walk into downtown Aurora and be like, gentrification's really taken over in Aurora.
Right. Right. Yeah, seriously.
I do think that...
Oh, new living quarters wise. All right, my man.
Now, there is definitely an argument to be made relative to housing. And I think that housing so there's been a very strategic plan to bring more housing into downtown Aurora and to make that housing more upscale. I guess I can't really fight that.
No,
now,
that's true.
That's true. At least relative to what it was prior, right? Because if you went into the Stolp Island Tower, the real tall one, the super big building, right? If you went into that building 15, 20 years ago, you'd be like, this is a little rough. Right? Like, it was a little rough back then. And, now it's been redeveloped and turned into much nicer places, right? That are, as a result, more expensive. And so there certainly is a displacement happening there. Mm-hmm. Now, I do think, and this is... Now, do we want what was previously there more than we want what is currently there? That's super debatable. I think what we want, and this speaks to a much bigger, broader issue, is that we want people of all racial backgrounds to be able to enjoy, and people of all economic backgrounds, and those things go hand in hand because for a lot of different reasons, to be able to enjoy a higher standard of living. And so our challenge in downtown Aurora and developing downtown Aurora is making sure that we have high quality housing that is also still accessible.
Word up. That's word up.
And so that's why when we've seen the luxury apartments and things like that come in, and there are incentives that the city is giving to bring them in, I say, great. I don't have a problem with that. The more people that we are bringing in that can, patronize our small businesses, who are generally small, like mom and pop businesses or people with a dream and not a lot of capital, right? The more people we have to support those businesses, the better. But what does, and we've talked about this before, but what would be great, and should be a first conversation when it comes to incentivizing developers is, okay, what units are you making available for people who are low income, right? How are you building a diversity of housing stock? So, because I think what you're seeing now, people being pushed from the downtown core into the the surrounding neighborhoods, right? Our neighborhood, like near East Side, near West Side, you've got the older houses that have been divided up into a million little apartments that are of varying quality. I can tell you that I too have been a cheap landlady in the past of my own home, right? But
look, don't get the ethics department in here in our joint. Don't do that. Hold that down. Nah, don't.
But so that is where the cheaper housing is.
They gonna knock on the door like, I heard y'all got.
Yeah, no.
I heard y'all got slumlords up in here.
Oh
no,
my God, I am such. I think any of my couch guys would tell you that I'm the nicest slumlord that they've ever lived with / for. But so there's certainly an argument to be made there. I do think that it's a major challenge, and I think that it's something that I would certainly like to see more affordable housing planned, but in an integrated way. And that's what we're seeing with all the census data. I know you're trying to cut me off. I'm not going to let you for 10 more seconds.
You got 30 seconds.
So thanks. But that's what we're seeing with all this census data is we're seeing a concentration of wealth, which then plays out in the race data too. In these downtowns, and then other people being pushed out to the edges. And what is healthy for communities and for the nation as a whole is really developing neighborhoods that are integrated, right? So you've got a rich person living next to a poor person. That's we have designed our country for the opposite of that, and we benefit from having more integrated communities.
And in addition to integrated communities, I have to integrate our regular news
fine.
With something that we like to call MSNBC don't have better music than that. All right, check this out.
L News.
L News.
We call it L News.
L News.
Las
All right.
Noticias.
So here's the local stuff, you guys. Our Friends of the Alive Center have a mentorship program going on right now. Friends of ours, Casey Chitwood, What Is Up, fellow Rotarian, and Addie Rubio. The purpose of the program is to create positive peer relationships between middle school students and upperclassmen. By spending time together, trying new things, and discovering what makes them come alive, both mentor and mentee will gain a greater sense of belonging and confidence. For more information or to apply, please visit alivecenter.org or email jeff@alivecenter.org.
Shout out to Jeff.
Word up.
I don't know Jeff, but shout out to Jeff.
I don't know him either, but
he's doing good work.
He's doing a good. Yeah, you're right.
Right.
Jeff, holler at us.
That's right.
All right, Saturday the 28th, from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. at Jake's Bagels. There's going to be coffee and conversation with State Representative Barbara Hernandez of the 83rd District.
Fabulous.
Once again, 9 to 11 a.m. And if you go to Jake's Bagels, whatever soup they got that day, get you a little bowl of that, sit back, and
but not the coffee.
relax.
We've talked about this before.
Yeah, the coffee is the wackest.
The coffee.
Jake's.
No. Some bagels.
Big love. Much shout out. But
the bagel sandwiches, the everything bagel with the egg and the cheese.
Seriously,
and the
napkins
money.
are better than the coffee.
So good.
It is just
do something about that coffee.
For real.
Whew.
Seriously. Because I want to give you I want to tell people, right? We want to tell people the whole shebang.
We
but I
want,
don't
we want the people to go, but right now
get
we're
the
going to
sandwich at Jake's and go to Treadwell for the coffee.
Yeah, go to
That's
Treadwell, go to
just,
Indira, go to Society 57. Although if you're at Society 57, you got to get that breakfast sandwich. It's crack.
Crack.
It's crack sandwich. That's what we call it in our house.
Mercado Artesanal, Oaxaca and Aurora at Casa Santa Maria 314 East Downer Place. That's going to be on the 29th of August from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. Lots of cultural and Latino representation, including ballet folklorico, dancing. Great sponsors like Jucalita Tacos and Fiesta Master. Please come on out and take part in a great cultural event here in the city of Aurora. And also, voting is open for Culture Stock. There is a State Farm neighborhood grant that is open, and they need all of your help and support with that vote. You can vote up to 10 times per day.
Yeah.
It's strongly encouraged to do so and support our friends and their quest to reestablish a community bookstore here in the city. The time is 8:28.
Yes, because they used to have that space right there in the Vargas building.
Where Mora is now, right?
Well, it was, yeah.
Yeah, because Mora's not even.
Yeah, ain't nothing in there
that
right
was
now.
a flash pan experience, too. You're sitting out
sure
with the
was.
sexy drinks and you got the kebabs, and now it's...
I never got the chance. It was, for the week and a half that it was open to go back there. Now, to be fair, a pandemic hit, but also
Right,
to be
true.
fair, a pandemic hit, and plenty of other restaurants did stay open.
Right.
So none of the ones that got massive incentives.
People were frying bologna outside and slanging it.
All right.
All right.
So,
And then last quick community thing. There is the shredding event coming up. Safe, secure, and contactless, hosted by the Kane County Teachers Credit Union and the Aurora Public Library. It's going to be Saturday, September 18th from 9 to 11 a.m. Now, you're probably wondering, why is he telling us about September stuff and it's still August? Look, it's about to be it's about to be 2022 before you know it.
it's true.
Y'all better wake it up.
Also, what happened was all of the event planners that normally had spring events this year were just like, I don't know about that. And so they pushed everything to the fall. And so now everything's happening all at once. So you got to mark your calendars. You got to be strategic about this stuff.
Now, fight identity theft and needless clutter at home by bringing your personal documents to the shredding events and have them properly shredded. Only paper materials will be accepted. Small paper clips and staples do not need to be removed, and shredding is accepted until the shred truck is full, and it's a big truck. And then the last little piece, actually, I do apologize, guys. There's a new 21st century bookmobile in the works.
Ooh.
It's coming. Now
do we have a place to park it?
They didn't give me that in the press release.
See, because
I gotta go hack and holler at them.
Yeah, because we built this big library that didn't have a garage in it.
Right.
Oops.
So here's the thing now.
Fix that at some point.
We're needing a new bookmobile. There is fundraising going on for this. Folks, the Aurora Public Library Foundation has done a great job for many years keeping our students and people here in the city of Aurora pleasantly happy, well-read,
informed,
all of that,
resourced,
hooked up.
What do you? Are you reading anything from the library right now? You got anything checked out?
I don't, but I'm reading a great book called Boss by Mike Royko.
Old school.
It's an old school book.
That's the classic.
This is a great book.
Yes.
And I tell you, if you want we'll make a different episode on that. It's a lot. It's a deep.
It's a little for anyone who's not familiar. It's like the classic book on the daily.
It's about daily.
It's the daily machine. It is
Chicago.
Yeah. So Mike Royko was a journalist for the Trib, I think. Sometimes
he was the Sun-Times.
Yep. Yeah. All right. Okay. Very good. And wrote the followed the administration. It was. So it's a fascinating book.
Alyssa Ocon, good morning. But anyway, the Bookmobile. Guys, I have more information coming about that, and we'll give that to you. But there's a campaign going on to raise funds for a new Bookmobile. This is very much needed. So when you see the post coming, follow us on Instagram too. A lot of stuff gets posted there with links. When you see that post, please click on it, get involved, and if you can chip in, please do so. The time is now 8:31 a.m.
And go stop by your library and check out a book.
Right. Seriously, get your read on.
If you haven't done that,
because I'm tired of seeing these memes with bad spelling, grammar, punctuation. Stop.
Oof.
All right.
You cannot. All your reading cannot be inspirational quotes on Instagram.
Seriously.
You gotta dig in on something.
Ugh.
I've got two books out right now.
What you reading?
Reading a book called "It's Not Always Depression," about regulating emotions. Fascinating.
Regulators!
Yes.
Mount up. It
also
was a clear black white.
And The Essential Roomie. So, yes.
Very cool.
Mystic poetry.
All right. What's next?
I don't know. You tell me.
All right.
Crap.
I'll tell you what's next. Now, I saw something that we got to talk, you guys, because the stuff is getting out of hand. Well, let's start with some good news, and then I'll get to the part that really upsets me.
Jobless claims?
We're going to do
What are we doing?
jobless claims.
All right.
Jobless claims are at a all-time low right now. So, shouts out.
Well, a pandemic low, which seems like all-time. It's a pandemic low, right? So they're a little bit lower prior to the entire world falling apart. But now that we have a new normal, baseline for what unemployment looks like. So Labor Department reported Thursday that jobless claims fell by 29,000 people to 348,000. So that's first-time jobless claims. That's people who are filing right now. So. And the weekly pace of unemployment aid has fallen steadily since early January, basically. So that's a good thing, right? That's a good thing.
It's clappable.
That's clappable. We'll clap for that. We'll clap for more people working. But what's fascinating... Well, first of all, do you know anybody who's unemployed right now? Thinking. Oh, he's thinking. Yeah.
I don't.
That's what I'm saying. I don't either.
Do you guys know anybody who's unemployed?
I
hope you don't, because we've been giving jobs on this show. We've been telling you about links to apply.
Do you know anyone who's just sitting at home man, I've been trying, but I just can't get a job. I'm applying everywhere, and I just can't get anything.
I don't.
That's what I'm saying. So here's where we've got a story about data versus the real world. So even though all of these applications are remaining really high and blah, 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 there's what the feds are also saying, and I'm trying to scroll to the part of the article where it said it, but it's basically there are unemployment claims, but also they're not really reliable. The figures that are coming out. Basically, we're kind of scratching at the dark. And part of that was, if you remember at the beginning of the pandemic, where First of all, everyone got unemployed at the same time, and so everyone was filing a bajillion claims. And there were so many people filing claims that all the systems shut down, and that the state of Illinois was basically like, it was just bureaucrats with paper and pencil going like, okay, tell me, I'll just write it down, right? Like, people
were quitting because they couldn't take it.
Right. Yeah. Like they didn't have people who were quitting at the unemployment office.
Yep, exactly.
So that created a paperwork nightmare. That made it difficult, and people were applying for unemployment for the same claim multiple times because they couldn't get through the damn system, right? And all this, and it was like, well, if your last name starts with M through K or whatever, M through Z or whatever, then you can't, you can only apply on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It got insane there. So that created this paperwork counting nightmare. And people were applying multiple times, and so the numbers even looked worse than they were. I mean, it was undeniably bad, but it looked even worse and more chaotic. Then on top of that, you had the massive fraud that came through. I think everybody, I don't know anyone who's unemployed right now, but I do know myself and many other people who got a letter saying hey, we've denied your claim for unemployment. And I'm like, what claim for unemployment? I've been employed this whole time. So because people were stealing information, or they were just trying to file, they were basically just like, this person works here, let's just try and file on their behalf and see if we can claim their unemployment, right? So maybe they got odds are good they got unemployed. So between the fraud and all the duplicate claims and the massive backlog that happened in every state, because it was a whole country thing all at once, all the numbers are just a hot mess. So we actually don't know. So the numbers they appear to be trending well, and I think it's fair to say that the trends are still probably accurate, right? When they say unemployment fell, it probably fell, but we don't really know how much, and we don't really know what the actual picture of labor is in the country at the moment. So it's also kind of messed up by a lot of people. The whole labor force got this big shakeup where you had people drop out of the labor force and be like, no, I'm not going back to work. Forget that. So in one word, either they were, young and had some time on their hands and had an idea and started a business, or they're older and got laid off, and there was just no way they were going to find work before they ended up in retirement anyway, so they ended up taking early retirement. A lot of that happened at the start of the pandemic, so especially because your older folks are more likely to have health conditions and reasons why they wouldn't want to go back into a work environment with a virus running around.
And a bunch of young people who are insisting on not wearing masks.
Right. Or older people who are insisting on not wearing masks.
Which
anybody.
Is a perfect segue.
We're segueing.
Perfect segue.
So unemployment getting better, but we also don't really know.
Because folks, we gotta talk.
That's the story.
Thank you for that segue. We gotta talk. You guys. Listen. On this show, if you guys can't tell, the overriding message and the energy is be cool.
Just be cool.
That's cool.
Do your thing, but be cool with other people.
It cannot be that, we
be cool.
Are we dancing or something?
We are. I just wanted to get it. Okay.
Now they can see.
There we go.
How you guys doing at home?
Hi.
Yeah, you're tuning in. You are tuning in. It's 8:39. Holla.
So let's talk about masks.
Well, hold on real quick.
And being cool.
Yeah, we're going to talk about masks and being cool. But listen, seriously. Stop using profanity against the 16-year-old checkout kid who's wrapping up your burrito because you're supposed to wear a mask. Just stop it. If you're 58 years old, stop using profanity and yelling and screaming against people who are your kids' age. This is so...
And vice versa. There's no... I think... we all did ourselves a disservice with the the okay boomer meme as
coming back to haunt us.
Yeah, well, no, I just think like it just makes for a less gentle and less nice world, right? When we put anybody in any category according to their age or race or gender or anything else, right? Just like maybe just not stereotype everybody as being totally useless at their age.
True. Now listen to this. 2 DuPage County private schools have been unrecognized by the state for defying the recent mask mandate, and they join a surging number of Illinois public schools that are currently on probation for non-compliance. Listen. These schools are among the latest to join all of these schools, and they're being slapped with sanctions. Bethany Lutheran School in Naperville and Lutheran School of St. Luke in Itasca on Thursday were listed as non-recognized for non-compliance with the mask mandate, and that's according to the ISBE, which is the Illinois State Board of
Education.
Education, right?
Samesies. Or could be samesies. Isn't.
Synonymousies. The state board listed a total of 36 public school districts and 7 private schools as being sanctioned for this noncompliance with the governor's mask mandate, a jump of more than 30% the day before. At least one public school said that they, or advised ISB that they will comply, and that was Timothy Christian up in Elmhurst, whose status was then stored to recognized. Now, you may say, well, that doesn't sound bad, right? It's just people expressing their... No, this is also in conjunction with deplorable scenes of violence, profanity, screaming, throwing bottles at school board meetings.
The most dangerous place that you can be in the state of Illinois right now is not like nighttime on a street corner in Englewood. It's going to a school board meeting at like 7 o'clock on a Tuesday night.
In Yorkville. They had a protest in Yorkville with the mask. That was...
Everywhere.
That was sick.
Everywhere right now. Like it is devolving. There's protests outside, there's people screaming and yelling, and like it is just blowing up everywhere. And guys,
now keep in mind, okay, go ahead, finish that.
We're just saying, guys, just be cool.
Right.
Like nobody wants to wear a mask.
Right.
Nobody wants to send their kids to school in a mask.
Right.
We all want the thing to be done, but the thing gets done by wearing masks. So just like that's one of the things that slows the rate of transmission, that allows us to the vaccines to get the opportunity to work and like fizzles out infections, right? Because the longer this thing drags on, the more the opportunity for more variants like Delta and Lambda and Omicron Pi, and like I am proud to be a Phi Mu, by the way. And
now mind you, these the same people who are protesting for these masks are the same people who are nowhere to be found during protests for racial justice. Time is now 8:43 a.m. and you are listening to Good Morning Aurora, the second largest city's first daily news podcast.
Do we know that?
Yeah, we know that.
I think that there are lots of people, and I don't want to like paint. Look, I think that we
I painted. So if you
painted.
if you got paint
thinner,
I think I'm
gonna unpaint.
If you got paint
I'm
thinner,
gonna erase. I'm gonna paint thin.
I'm gonna
paint thin a little bit.
Paint thin.
Because I think that there's a common thread, and so I can see where that conclusion is coming from, right? Which is that it's the thread of caring for other people, right? Caring for people who are not in exactly the same group as you, right?
Sure.
When it comes to wearing a mask, you do that to care for other people who are like medically vulnerable. When you go marching in the streets for social justice, for Black people, if you're white, it's for someone who's not like you, right? So I think that it's easy, and I think this is the thing that we're doing in our culture, is drawing these really broad strokes of being like, if I don't agree with you on this one thing, probably I don't agree with you on anything else, and probably you're this bad person who's on the opposite side of everything, and I have no way of agreeing with you, or like no common ground with you. And I just want to like back that up a little bit and say, I think that there are plenty of people who, for one reason or another, are misinformed, or they on masks and vaccines and all of these things, or they are maybe not misinformed, but drawing different conclusions. And that doesn't make them a bad person. It makes throwing bottles at a school board meeting makes you a bad person, and you shouldn't do it. Don't do that. Like, you come back from that, but like having strong opinions about a thing doesn't make you a bad person. But I guess I think that they're still there. I don't know that the circles of the Venn diagram are fully overlapping on not big on social justice issues, and mask deny. I don't know that they fully overlap. I think that there's some overlap. Sure.
Okay. Interesting.
End rant.
That's a good perspective.
Yeah, just because just because someone's racist doesn't mean they're sexist, right? And but there's probably an awful lot of flipping overlap there.
I would,
and neither one's good.
I'd have to see a case of the otherwise,
right?
They all talk the same, right?
Fair enough.
It's like all of the people now who are talking about Afghanistan, for example.
Ooh.
These are the same people who are telling you that we shouldn't take down Confederate statues. Hey, that's our history. Now they're worried about the women and children. Stop. You know what I'm saying? It's just stop. That's just I feel like it.
But I mean,
it demeans and belittles the actual tragedy that is unfolding. That's what it does.
Which is significant.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
Exactly.
If you've been watching, I think there's a reason we're not getting real deep in Afghanistan on this show, which is that neither one of us is an expert to be able to say anything.
But stay tuned, because we are going to have an expert come on. I told you guys about that.
That's amazing.
Elgin City Councilman Anthony Ortiz, combat Marine veteran. He lost 25, in addition to his unit, they lost 25 people in the Battle of Sanjan Valley in Afghanistan. We interviewed him last year. We're going to get him back on this show. You know why we do that? Because the real deal, authentic. There's no speculation on this show. We got it for you. Ain't that right? Let me hit the clap button for us.
We sometimes speculate. That's
Come on.
mostly me.
That shit.
Yeah, right. and I think it's to our credit to you. I think it's very easy for people to say too, well, I don't know anything about Afghanistan, so I'm just gonna kind of ignore that whole thing is happening. Yep. And that's not okay either, because the humanitarian crisis that is unfolding there is just off the chart.
All right, Brenda Booth, good morning to you. Noor Muhammad, good morning to you again, sir. And also want to say good morning to dear friend of the show, a couple dear friends of the show. Holy cow, Tia is here, Nicole Astra's here. Oh my goodness, we got a lot of people. And Semper Fi, Lisa Go From, that is right. Instead of us speculating, we will just tell you the facts.
Yeah, we'll just have people who actually know what they're talking about. Yeah,
we'll get a guy who's actually been there.
Yeah.
To do the talking for us. All right.
But I'll tell you what, if we ever go back to Nam, I'm here. There's my expertise right there.
In a living there fashion, not in combat, right?
I was not in combat in Vietnam.
Yeah.
No. But when I tell my old Nam stories, real young kids who don't have a sense of math and history are like, whoa. I was like, yeah.
I'm like, wow, how'd you come out looking so pretty?
I'm like, yeah, I saw some shit.
Yeah, all this gun smoke in the morning.
Oh boy.
All right, so let's keep going though. We got some more.
We got some more things. We've got more things.
All right, guys. So listen. Now yesterday you may have noticed that did anybody know that Aurora has an airport? Did you guys even know? Did these people even know that?
No, I don't think most people know that.
Yeah, Aurora has an airport, and it's nice. We got planes and stuff.
And I think that's that might be one of the biggest jokes of of all of our the biggest inside joke is does anybody know that we have an airport? Because the funny thing is, it's a charter, if you have a lot of money and can take chartered flights to places, then you know that there's an airport here. But if you have a lot of money and can take chartered flights to places, you probably don't live in downtown Aurora.
Right. Yeah, nobody's getting a limo from like Benton. And
picking it up and taking it out to the airport. And I mean, some people are, but not a whole lot.
All right, but listen to this, you guys. Carver Aero purchase of Lumen Air at Aurora Municipal Airport. So it was a day of celebration just yesterday for aviation in general, and a specific day for celebration at this airport. National Aviation Day provided the backdrop for the official sale of longtime fixed-based operator Lumen Air Aviation Services to Carver Aero, an Iowa-based aviation service company that promised future major investment at the airport, and both in the form of renovated facilities and brand new hangars. What do you think about that, Jeanette?
Did anybody know that we have an airport in Aurora? I'm still stuck on that.
How do I know?
No, I think it's great. I think investing in it's actually a huge, from an economic development perspective, being so close to an airport is a huge boon, because it means that you don't have to fly into, well, so there's two other places, right? Obviously you could go into the city and you could go to, like Midway or O'Hare and take like a flight, right? Or the other option is DuPage Airport, which is still pretty far out from here. If you're on the I-88 corridor, or you're any points west of here, having access to an airport that provides a lot of service for business CEOs is actually, it's a good selling point for developing the.
What's the last trip you took?
Ooh, it was pre-COVID for sure. I think it was Costa Rica. Was my most recent plane excursion, which, by the way, here's the thing that you're all going to forget about when you finally get on a plane again, is that turbulence is like increasing basically everywhere. And because turbulence is caused by air temperature and pressure changes and things like that, right? And
under pressure, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, and remember how that whole like the globe is getting warmer thing is still going on in the midst of the pandemic and all of that. That kept happening. So,
that's not true. That's a damn AOC. Green New Deal.
No, that's okay.
Communism.
So look, we can debate all day long about how it's happening and why, but you cannot debate that the globe is actually getting warmer.
The climate always changes. The climate's been changing forever.
That is a fact. That is true.
I'm just saying what they say.
That is technically true.
I'm just, that's just what they say.
No, but my flight into Costa Rica, I mean, already the airport in San Juan, both San Juan and Liberia, they're known for being tricky to fly into because there's like mountains and things, and there's tropical weather, and it just gets like really that was a clenching the seat, like bouncy sort of thing. So don't forget your motion sickness when you finally start flying again, and I hope you do, and I hope you wear your mask, and I hope you don't get duct taped to the seat.
Yeah, that happened to that one lady.
I loved it. I thought it was like a dude. I don't know.
I thought it was a dude that duct taped a lady.
I don't know. Like when you fly, A, be nice, B, wear your mask, and C, don't forget your motion sickness medication or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
So real quick, guys, we Nicole said that she knows some folks who are unemployed. There's still jobs. I will tell them this, tune in here, because we do get some job information, APD, Kane County Sheriff's Office, all kinds of stuff.
And one of the other things too that is certainly overlooked in this pandemic is that people are not willing to risk their lives to go work for $8 an hour. Right. And so that's the other thing too, the whole unemployment, like there's a difference between employment and full employment, right?
Yep.
So,
good point.
Yeah, because anyone can go and get a job right now, flipping burgers anywhere. That is not hard to come by. But getting a job that can actually support a family without and not destroy your soul in the process, that is a much trickier.
Yep. So the time is 8:54. We got a lot covered, but we didn't get
evictions.
Yeah, I wanted to do.
Let's get to that because that's.
Do y'all got a couple extra minutes to spend with us?
Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
You do.
Come on, let's
shut up.
Let's
you do. Where are you going?
Yeah. All right. So yeah, look. What's the point of a moratorium if all evictions are not covered, that's not the title of the article with which we'll put in the chat here momentarily.
But that's what we're calling it.
That's what we're calling it. What's the point? Why are you calling it a moratorium? Just call it a maybe-orium.
A maybe-orium.
I just made that up right now.
No, that's good. It's a nice portmanteau.
I like
which
that.
Portmanteau was the word of the week last week.
It was.
Yes, which is a word. It's a word made from two other words smushed together. Portmanteau. So maybe-torium.
Yeah, a maybe-torium. Listen to this. This made me, your host does not typically get
verklempt.
I really don't. I'm really a cool, mellow dude all the time, but this really upset a brother. Listen to this. On Wednesday morning, not going to say the name of the individual, was packing up his home. The man was moving his 4 children and invalid wife into an extended stay motel because the DuPage County Sheriff's Department was scheduled to come at 9 a.m. to evict the family from their townhome on the Far East Side. The gentleman's behind on his rent, more than 18 months behind. And according to the court papers, a judge declared the eviction, which was filed earlier this year, go forward because the household was not covered under the government's moratorium order put in place and recently extended to keep those affected by the pandemic from losing their homes, which is why he's upset. COVID impacted his ability to earn, and he's not been able to remake money being an Uber and Lyft driver. Okay. It wasn't just the fact the lockdown significantly hurt the rideshare industry greatly. His wife has been in and out of the hospital since March of last year due to kidney failure and eventually led to a heart valve replacement and ongoing dialysis. And even after the COVID-19 restrictions were lifted, he felt uncomfortable dealing so close with people during the pandemic when he knew bringing home the virus to his wife could be fatal. Now, listen to this. This is making me sick right here. And I know somebody who lives in this apartment complex too. Prior to filing for an eviction, landlords must provide tenants with a declaration form that, if they meet certain requirements, including loss of income or, quote, extraordinary out-of-pocket medical expenses, would allow them to be covered by the moratorium. The gentleman insists he filled it out and returned it to management, which is why months after he received his first January eviction notice, his case went to a judge who declared it was too late to stop the process. Aspen Place Management, I didn't mean to say the name, but I just did. Who cares? Was told about the situation. And so with no safety net in place, as family members live on the West Coast, this gentleman will be paying $1,400 every 2 weeks to rent 2 motel rooms with his wife and kids, 2 sons in their 20s, one who is employed as a martial arts instructor, the other has a medical discharge from the Marines and is awaiting leg surgery, as well as an 18-year-old working at McDonald's and a high school student who took his freshman classes remotely last year but will be homeschooled to keep his wife as safe as possible. I don't know for the life of me what in the world is pull yourself up by your bootstraps about that. And see, that's the kind of thing that makes me appreciate, I won't say a governor, but an authority who can stop or make that call and everything like that. I'm sympathetic to the landlords who need to have money and be compensated and paid. But you know what? I do believe, and I would lose votes running on this, I do believe that there comes a time, and it's that time, where the person, the individual, and the family takes way more precedence staying in their fucking house over money.
Ooh, F-bomb.
We don't curse we don't curse much on this show. I know this is a family show, but the kids are in school right now, so I'm just, you know what I'm saying?
They're back.
Yeah, the time is now 8:59.
So, yeah. So here is my thought about this. First of all, this has been a challenging situation, and here it's a more clear-cut WTF story because of you filed all the paperwork and all this, but beyond that, you're talking about a management company as opposed to a bigger complex. It's not as a landlord of of my own place, but also like
private property,
right,
private landlords as opposed to the complex.
A person who rents out their this one extra, place that they still have a mortgage on, and is like, that's a challenging situation,
it
right?
Yes.
That doesn't mean that you don't have grace. Like I know when at the beginning of the pandemic, when everybody got shut down, I let rent go for a while myself, right? But when you're talking about so much housing is owned by these huge like private equity firm investors, right? With a little bit of cash to burn, right?
Yeah.
Like, so that speaks to the element of heartlessness in this. But I think the bigger thing, the thing that I want to talk about is to shift the conversation a little bit more from the like immediate of this person or this kind of case, and the immediate moment of the sheriffs having to show up at the door and move stuff out to the curb, and like I want to back it up. And I don't even want to back it up 18 months, like pandemic wise. I don't even want, like, I want to back it up like 18 years, right? Like I want to back it up and say where, like, the way that we have designed our economy at this point, or the way that we haven't designed it but we've let it unravel, is not working for so many people, right? Because you have a family that has that has massive medical issues that I'm sure are incredibly expensive. You have a family here that has, probably no savings left at this point, right? Because otherwise they would have been able to pay their rent at least partially here and there, right? Like, and to have, kids that are still living at home even though they're in their early 20s, because guess what? Kids can't launch anymore, right? Because housing is so expensive, right? So developing, like, it doesn't have to get this bad.
No.
We can build economies that have stronger safety nets, that don't rely on, oh my God, this crazy pandemic thing happened. Everybody go fill out a form at your local state office and try to get like emergency assistance. Right. We can have a safety net that is stronger than that catches people way before it ever gets down to that.
Right. Exactly.
So
guys,
that's my dream.
The link to the article I just read from is in the chat. Please read it at your leisure.
It also includes several links to if you were having problems with housing security right now, where you can start.
And for those of you who know your host personally in real life, you know that housing is my industry, literally.
It's a jam.
So Eviction Help Illinois, if you need help. Prairie State Legal Services, if you have any legal questions about the validity of your eviction per the CDC's moratorium that goes into the maybe-torium that goes into October 3rd.
That'll get you to another month.
And for those of you who are local, your local resource to help you is the Neighbor Project, located at 32 South Broadway. The number is 630-906-9400. It's 9:03 a.m. We will wrap it up, but I had to tell people that's just not cool. That's not cool. Subscribe to the show on Spotify, YouTube. Become a patron. Our last patrons got mugs. That's right. Dan Barrero, Norma Peterson, they got mugs.
That's right.
And you get a free mug.
You get a mug. And you get a mug. And you get a mug.
You get a mug.
You get a mug. It's just like Oprah.
Yep.
Except you have to give us money to do it, and it's not a car, it's a mug.
Exactly.
It's just like Oprah.
Right. All right. Norma says, hope to see everybody at River Edge tonight. Great stuff going on here locally in our fantastic city. Lots of good stuff happening this weekend. You guys will go out there and have some fun. Get in contact with us at goodmorningaurora@gmail.com or 331-256-7782. That's the voice number. Take care of yourself and each other.
Adios, Aurora.
I love these people.